Welcome to A Quest for Metal. Today we are doing the long-awaited Iced Earth ranking. We're going to rank all of Iced Earth's albums from what I think is the weakest to what I think is the best, in my opinion, of course. Now, Iced Earth has been around a very long time, and they've had a lot of albums, and almost all of them are bloody fantastic. I love almost all these albums, but there are a couple, the tail end of the list, which we'll get to first, which I don't really go back to often. So there's a couple, there's about 2 to 3 which I'm kind of iffy on. The rest, the other 8, are fucking amazing. So I guess we should just get it started, shall we? So my least favourite is The Crucible of Man, Something Wicked Part 2. Now this is the album where Matt Barlow came back into the band. It's like, yay! He's back in the band, one of the best vocalists from Iced Earth. But the album itself, even though it did have Matt Barlow back on the vocals, who is probably my favourite vocalist, it didn't work. I don't think it worked for me. It was a bit too long. It's only 59 minutes long, and there's 15 songs, so it feels not long, but it feels like drawn out. Like, there's not too many memorable songs. You don't really go back to this album and go, I really want to listen to this song from this album, because there's nothing here that speaks to me, to be honest. It's still a good album. I'll still put it on today, and it's still fine listening. It's just, compared to the rest of the discography, it doesn't hold a candle, in my opinion. It doesn't hold a candle to the rest of the discography. And the same goes for its counterpart, in my opinion, as well. The same goes for its counterpart, which is my next pick. Framing Armageddon is my next one, and this one has Tim Ripper Owens on the vocals, which I do enjoy his vocals. I prefer Matt Barlow's, and I prefer Steve Block's, and I prefer every other vocalist in Iced Earth. So he is my least favourite vocalist, so it's no surprise that it's coming at the tail end of the list. Because vocal-wise, I do prefer the other vocalists. I'm not gonna lie, it's my ranking. And like in Judas Priest, I was never a big fan of his albums either, so he's never really been high up there for me. But this is definitely better than Part 2. Even though I prefer Matt Barlow, this is still, the songwriting in this is better, the riffs are better, it's more catchy. But again, just like Part 2, I don't see myself going back to it. Again, there's like 19 songs, there's a lot of interludes, it's kind of like this epic, but it doesn't feel epic. You know, it feels kind of bland and boring, in my opinion, compared to the other Iced Earth albums. So, yeah, afraid to say, like, this album, and then part one and part 2 of this trilogy. The first one, though, ooh, that's a fucking masterpiece. Well, we'll get there. But these two together don't really do much for me. Don't really do much for me, for these are definitely, easily the weakest Iced Earth albums, in my opinion. I've seen a lot of lists where people have the first Iced Earth album last, and I'm like, have you heard the fucking songs on that? The songs are fucking killer. The songs on these, they're not killer. The singing's good, but the songwriting and the lyrics that they're singing, it's just, doesn't do it for me. But now we're going to get into the albums that I actually enjoy, so from here on out, I really like these albums. And coming in next, you probably guessed it, is The Glorious Burden. I think this is a better album than the previous two. It's more focused, it's more driven, it's less kind of elongated just to stretch out a narrative. This one's all about the American Civil War, and it does have Tim on the vocals again, which I'm not a biggest fan of, but I think it works with this album where it doesn't work with the other album. Because this is more clear. You know, the concept on this album is just a clearer concept, and the songwriting is just better. Declaration Day, fantastic song. The Reckoning, I mean, this album has really good songs on it. If, you know, they replace the vocalist with any of the others like Steve Block or Matt Barlow, I would have this a lot higher because the songwriting is really good. But for me, it just doesn't have that wow factor. The songs are amazing, it's just, it doesn't grab me by the balls, you know? Like a lot of Iced Earth albums, because Iced Earth has some phenomenal albums, which we'll get to very goddamn soon. But this one, it's a good album. This is a step up from those two. It's about a 7.5 out of 10. It's just not a big fan of Tim Ripper Owens, and that's it, really. That's all I can say for this album. So if they remastered it with Stu, oh, I'd be in love. But at the moment, still a good album. This is where Iced Earth is starting to get really fucking good for me. Next up, a Matt Barlow album, Horror Show. Some people have this very high. I think it's a good album. I think it's overrated though. I do, when I re-listen to the entire discography, this was on a weaker side of the classic albums in my opinion, but it has some goddamn classic songs on. Dracula, Damien's amazing, Dracula's amazing, Phantom Opera's Ghost, what a way to close the album. Really strong, hard-hitting songs on this album. It's just everything in between is just kind of good. Not amazing, just good. Whereas the other albums, I find more amazing songs on than just a couple. You know what I mean? This one's still fantastic, like, listen though. I still think it's better than the other albums I talked about. And I still put it on, and it's still a fun time, and I love the concept. It's all horror movies, and I love horror movies, one of my favourite genres. So I love the concept. The singing, it's Matt Barlow, so it's amazing singing. It's just, some of the songs don't really do it for me. Others are fantastic, so mixed bag on this one, but it's still better than the others, so this is like a 7.5. This is like a 7.5 out of 10 for this one. Next up we have Iced Earth, which was number 1 on my list for a long time. But on re-listening, I mean, it has the song chops. The vocals, though, on the weaker side of things. For the vocals. But the songs on this album are goddamn magnificent. The title track, Iced Earth, being a classic which still played today live, and it's still one of the best Iced Earth songs. Colours being another phenomenal song. And my personal favourite from the album, the final track, When the Night Falls. Oh, I love the melody in that. The melody is amazing. It's an amazing way to finish that album. I don't know why people don't like this album. This album, glorious. It's an amazing album. It's just the singing not quite as good as Stu or Matt. You know, that's the only reason this is a bit lower, because the songwriting is fantastic, and I love all the songs in this album. So, you know, from here on out, magnificent albums. This is no different. Love the first Iced Earth album. Next up, the first Stu Block album. Took a while to get there, but we are there, and I think he's a fantastic fit for Iced Earth. I really do love all his albums. The weakest for me probably is Plagues of Babylon. Still an amazing album. I still want to listen to it right now. When I say it, I still want to listen to it. When it starts off with the title track, Plagues of Babylon, I kind of butchered that, but what a fantastic way to start off the album. Then you have really nice melodic songs like Peacemaker, which I love, and Cthulhu. Cthulhu is an awesome song. So many good songs on this album. I just feel like as a whole, it doesn't quite match the other two that he did. But it's still a phenomenal album, and it's still like an 8.5 out of 10. I'm giving this an 8.5. Love Plagues of Babylon. I mean, that fucking song, Plagues of Babylon, is a masterpiece. I love it. Can't say too much bad about this album. It's just I prefer the others. So let's get to them. So next, Stu again. Incorruptible, the latest Iced Earth album. And this one took me a while to get into. I wasn't the biggest fan at first. I was like, oh, all Iced Earth's better. And then I kept re-listening, and this album has some amazing songs on. Namely, there's a pirate song on here, Black Flag. I love my pirates. I love my Ailstorms. And this does it, but in a non-jokey way, so it's fucking awesome. Then you got the beautiful masterpiece, which is Raven Wing. What an amazing song, and the melodies in that, and the solo, and his singing. Raven Wing is one of the best Iced Earth songs, but my favourite on the entire album is the closer, Clear the Way. When he's just screaming, like, forward, clear the way. So good. So good. That chorus in this song, it's an epic, feels like an Iron Maiden anthem type of song. Underrated as fuck. Definitely one of the best Iced Earth songs. Again, check this album out if you just passed them off past the Matt Barlow earlier era. Definitely give this a listen. It's fucking amazing. But, it is not my favourite. My favourite by Stu is Dystopia, the very first album he was on, and he knocked it right out of the fucking park. From those mid-era, because the mid-era is the ones I didn't really like, when it was Tim, and then Matt came back, it was kind of like, eh. This pumped them back up into stardom. This just rejuvenated the band, in my opinion. Fresh life into it, and all the songs on here are fucking killer. When it starts off with Dystopia, you know you're in for a good time. And then it has Anthem straight after. Again, one of my favourite Iced Earth songs, that is an anthem. V is on this one. V is fantastic. So many good songs, and it feels so different to Plagues of Babylon. It feels like a complete separate entity. They both work really well, and they're both amazing, but I just prefer the sound of Dystopia than I do the sound of Plagues. That's the only reason. Amazing album, one of my favourites, and I want to listen to it now that I'm talking about it. Now we're getting into the juicy stuff. The next album is the Dark Saga. Flawless album, concept around Todd McFarlane's Spawn character, who's just fucking awesome, has just been in the new Mortal Kombat. He's a cool-ass character to have a musical journey around. He's got a cool-ass concept and the songs to back it up. But I think the second half is my favourite. Vengeance is Mine, Scarred, Slave to the Dark, and Question of Heaven. All are probably my favourites on the album. I think that second half of Dark Saga is just masterful. First is great as well, but the second half knocks it right out of the park. Question of Heaven as well. What a closer that is. What a just amazing journey of an album. One of the best concept albums just is. And Matt Barlow's vocals are amazing, story's amazing, melodies are cool, and they have some similar melodies in some of the songs. Great overall concept, great songs, great album. Can't talk much more about it. It's a fucking good album. Now we come into the next one, which is Burnt Offerings, the darkest, the most evil sounding album by Iced Earth, and it's the very first album with Matt Barlow in, and he fucking just nails it on this. Holy crap, that evil atmosphere throughout this entire album, it just seeps through the music, and you're just like, hell yeah. Now I feel like I'm flying through the plains of hell, like Dante. Dante's Inferno? Dante's Inferno? Do you want me to... It's a fucking masterpiece, one of the best longer songs ever made. Ever made. What an amazing journey this is. And Stu did a cover as well, and his one's really good as well. People just discredit that, but I think his version's great, but Matt's version, so good. It's like a 17-minute long, epic, best Iced Earth song, well, one of the best Iced Earth songs ever made. I adore it. It's amazing, and it's why it is number 3 on my list of my favourite Iced Earth albums. But it's not just that song, there is other good songs on the album. The song Burnt Offerings is fucking fantastic as well. Diary, there's so many good songs on it, it's not just, this is one song, the rest is alright. No, the whole album's amazing, one of the darkest, fucking love it. Now, my number 2 and my number 1 I was really struggling with. And I had to listen to them back to back just to decide which one I liked more. And I think I've come to a solid conclusion. My number 2 is Night of the Storm Rider. This is so almost number 1. This is a 10 out of 10 fucking album. I love how frantic it is. I love how thrashy it is. I love how the melodies and the riffs and the solos on this album, flawless. You could have this one and I'd be like, yeah, good for you. Good for fucking you. This is the only Iced Earth album with John Greeley on the vocals. And his vocals are fucking awesome. I love them. I love his vocals. I still prefer Stu and Matt for the more theatrical vocals, but for like a thrashy, heavy style like this album is, John's vocals fit so good. And the songs on this fucking album, god damn. Travelling Stygian, Storm Rider, the title track, and what I think is the best Iced Earth song of all fucking time is on this album, Desert Rain. When he is singing the chorus to Desert Rain, it's phenomenal. It's the best Iced Earth song, in my opinion. It's my favourite, I guess. But no, fuck it, it's the best. So good. And Mystical End is really underrated. That's an amazing song as well. So this is just fucking knocking it out of the park. Amazing album. Really wanted one, but one other album it had everything. So let's talk about it. So my number 1 is Something Wicked This Way Comes. And this is the first part of that trilogy. The other two is my least favourite, and number one is my most favourite Iced Earth album. Kind of wild. But this just has everything. It's got my favourite vocalist on. It's got Matt Barlow on. The songs are more power metal-y, but they're also heavy. There's not too many like interludes on this one. It's straight to the point. Every song has a catchy fucking chorus and amazing riffs and amazing solos. I mean, you start off with Burning Times, masterpiece, and then you go into Melancholy, Holy Martyr, one of the greatest Iced Earth songs ever, and Disciples of the Lie, which is catchy as fuck, and then Watching Over Me, a ballad which actually gets into your soul, and I usually fucking hate ballads, but this, one of the best ballads. So this has like, it just has all the best songs on. Consequences, Reaping Stone, Blessed Are You, and one of the best closers in Iced Earth history, The Coming Curse. So I don't know about you, this just ticks every box. It's more power metal-y than thrash metal, so I like that a bit more, but it still has the heavy elements in. It's got Matt Barlow singing on it. Production's really fucking nice and clear. It just feels like a perfect power metal album. So it is number one. It's my most favourite Iced Earth album of all time. And that's that. But there is another, and that other is Days of Purgatory. Now this is the real best album by Iced Earth. It's a compilation of a lot of the songs from the earlier albums, but redone with Matt Barlow on the vocals. So you know all those fucking amazing songs from Night of the Storm Rider, all those amazing songs from the fucking debut, which I said would be way better with someone else singing? Well, they are now, because Matt's fucking singing them. And it's got songs from Burnt Offerings on, so it's got Dante's Inferno on this, so this is the best Iced Earth album. This one right here is the fucking best, or it could be over here, wherever I decide to fucking put it, is the best Iced Earth album. When it's got all the fucking classics that you love redone, and it's even got some new ones that you've never heard before, some songs from EPs, it's fucking double disc. What more could you want? And the album cover is fucking sick. Days of Purgatory is the best Iced Earth album. And Alive in Athens is one of the best live albums, so I guess that's kind of cheating though, so you know, we'll stick with Something Wicked This Way Comes. So that was my list for the Iced Earth albums, my favourite one of all time. Let me know in the comments your favourite Iced Earth album. Do you agree with my list? Do you prefer some of the ones I hate? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll see you again on another Quest for Metal.